Welcome and good morning to a new update in which, of course, we're going to discuss Bitcoin and Ethereum, in which Bitcoin has not been showing too much strength in this entire upwards move, as it seems likely that we might be looking at a further corrective move. So therefore, we've got a crucial area that Bitcoin has to sustain in order to keep the momentum going, in order to keep the upwards momentum going? Or are we in a phase where we're going to get a lengthening cycle in which the moves are going to take longer than what we have experienced previously? That's what we're going to discuss today, but before that, do not forget to subscribe beneath, like the YouTube update, and check out Twitter and Instagram, where you can find daily updates on the markets and also on my personal life, as a ton will be changing in the coming period as well. I'm still feeling sad for not being in Lisbon right now, but hey, that's part of life. Amsterdam is beautiful too. Actually, the sun is shining today, so it's absolutely amazing. Let's dive into the charts, in which the higher time frames are not too much adjusted, right? So when we're looking at the higher time frames, the daily one, this actually is quite fine. The moment that we're going to have a swift drop here, if we lose the entire level that I'm going to discuss in a little bit, then the structure is going to look a bit like shit. But right now, it's actually just fine. We're just showing fine price movements. If we're looking at the weekly, we might be getting a structure in which we're going to say, hey, are we actually going to continue moving based on this weekly candle? And it's depending on this weekly candle. If we're going to have a phase where we're going to lose this entire level and close the weekly on a lower schedule, we might be in for a maybe more consolidation, or maybe even a little bit more of a corrective move, through which we're going to have another run after. But if we're going to get such a corrective move, it seems very likely that we're going to fail following the stock to flow model, which would be completely fine, in which we're going to see a lengthening cycle overall, which is being discussed by Benjamin Cohen even more lately, in which I'm actually agreeing with that view, in which we are not going to be getting those 4-year cycles anymore. Why? The halving principle will just be less relevant at some point, or have less of an impact the bigger the market is going to get. So the impact of macroeconomics will be heavier than the halving itself, also because of the price difference between spot price and mining price, or costs of mining one Bitcoin. So the impact of the halving will decrease over time, through which we will probably not be having 4-year cycles anymore. We're just going to get ourselves structured in a pretty normal waves of the economy, as Bitcoin is growing bigger and bigger. So this weekly candle is something that we should be watching if we want to see continuation of or strength happening on the markets. Daily we've also discussed, and now we're getting into the 4-hour time frame, in which the entire block, I'll just put it to 2 hours, the entire block that we have to hold is clearly given here. We've got a breakout above 63k, right? That is the good part. We've got a nice breakout, we've got a period of consolidation happening, and we've got a failed swing above the recent all-time high. So we've had the all-time high at 66.6, which was a new one. And I've also been stating that the all-time high region might be a period where people are going to take profits, as that is the last reference point before we're going into price discovery. And that's actually what we're seeing here, or what we have been seeing previously. Price has been acting in a sideways range for approximately 2.5 weeks. After that, a breakout has been taking place, another failed breakout above the new all-time high, and now we are retesting a crucial level of support. So what I want to see here is that this entire block between 65 to 66.2 is going to sustain as support. If that is not going to be happening, I think we're going to have a swifter corrective move all the way back towards 63, and that is causing the altcoin markets, or the overall markets, to have a swift correction in general at this stage. And that is also going to cause a little bit more fear towards the markets, as the plan B model is not following through then. You would assume that we're going to hit 90k around this region or around this month already. But if we're going to have such a corrective move, I do not assume we're going to get that test of 90k happening at this stage. So I'm a little bit cautious at this point, or just checking some levels that we should be watching overall. So this entire block, I want to see that sustain as support in the coming days to see whether we're going to get continuation at this point. If we're losing that level, I think we're going to have a swifter corrective move in the entire market structure at this stage. Looking at Ethereum, I've also mentioned a pattern that we should be or could be following through. It's the pattern that you're not seeing right now, but we have been stating this Fibonacci extension target, which is the 1.618 Fibonacci extension, derives from the previous impulse wave, and the second one that is around 6k also derives from the previous impulse wave. So there's two levels that I'm personally watching. If you are following this YouTube channel, that's this entire region around 5k, which might be getting ourselves into a corrective notion because of the entire impulse move that we've just witnessed on a market which is quite vertical. We've also been witnessing this previously in the cycle of Ethereum, always resulting in some tests of lower levels. So are we actually going to get continuation happening on the market, or are we in for that standard corrective move at the end of the year before we're getting ourselves into the second phase of this entire bull cycle? So if we are going to get such a corrective move on Ethereum, the levels that I'm personally watching that should be holding as support are the levels that I'm clicking on here. These two previous highs, so anything around 4k, that is the level that I want to see sustain if we clearly want to see continuation happening on this bull cycle. If that is lost, I think that we're getting ourselves into a potential further bear market at this point. But right now Ethereum is just running up. We still have some crucial levels that we have to sustain in order to have upwards continuation. But at some point we probably are going to tip over or are getting ourselves a corrective move, whether it is at 5k, whether it is at 6k, any of those two levels will provide any of that corrective move happening on the markets. Ethereum against USDT on the lower time frames, still the same, looking a little bit shaky, but if we dive deep into the structure that we have here, every level gets a retest, as you can see. So I'm looking at a retest to be happening here again at 4.5k. If we hold or sustain anything in this region, everything is still fine. If we're going to lose that level, we're probably going to take out the liquidity around these lows, and then we're getting ourselves into a deeper corrective notion. Ethereum against Bitcoin, nothing really changed on Ethereum against Bitcoin. We're still in a phase where we're going to get this sideways action, and I'm also assuming that we're going to get a corrective notion on Ethereum against Bitcoin relatively soon. This might be a case before we're going to have the big breakout happening in Q1 2022, and that is where I assume a life-changing alt season will be taking place. I hope you have enjoyed this update, and I'll be back later today to discuss a new topic. Don't forget to subscribe beneath, like the YouTube update, and have a good day.